అదువే దేశ ప్రేమవు, అదువే దేశ ప్రేమవు. జై భారత, జై జై భారత, జై భారత, జై జై భారత. భారత వినలు ಅದು ಬಹುವಚನ, ಭಿನ್ನ ಭಿನ್ನ ಜನ ಸಂಸ್ಕೃತಿಯು, ಭಿನ್ನ ಭಿನ್ನ ಜನ ಸಂಸ್ಕೃತಿಯು, ಬಣ್ಣ ಬಣ್ಣದ ಕಾಮನವಿಲ್ಲು, ಹಲವು ಭಾಷೆ ಮತ ಧರ್ಮಗಳು, ಹಲವು ಭಾಷೆ ಮತ ಧರ್ಮಗಳು. ಜನ ಸಮುದಾಯಕ್ಕೆ ಸಮರಸವಿದ್ದರೆ ಅದುವೇ ದೇಶ ಪ್ರೇಮವು. అదువే దేశ ప్రేమవు, అదువే దేశ ప్రేమవు. జై భారత, జై జై భారత, జై భారత, జై జై భారత.
Over the world in different meetings, conferences, and it's always good to be the last speaker because you can talk as much as you want. But there's also a problem. If you are the last speaker before lunch or dinner, then you cause two problems. If people are hungry, they get angry if you talk too much. So I have to be very conscious. I'm going to talk to you, but I'm going to listen to your stomach. If I start hearing sounds, then I will cut down my speech. But I know everybody here is hungry, so I'm going to keep my speech short. I want to start not with the speech, but I want to ask all of you a question, and anybody in the audience can ask me a question. Does anybody sitting in the audience have any question for me? Any question? Anybody? Say that again.
What will defeat in this coming election?
24.
Oh, 24 election.
Exactly.
Okay. So what will be the result of the 24 election? Okay, why are you worried about it? Because, okay, that's a good question. This is on everybody's mind. Who's going to win, who's going to lose? Is the India alliance going to win? So I will answer this question indirectly because I am not an astrologer. I'm not a psephologist like Yogendra Yadav, but I'm a researcher. So I'll just tell you what I do and then I'll answer your question. I was trained as a designer, but I went to my master's studies and I studied psychology, sociology and anthropology. And for the last 30 years, I've been studying people, culture and change. So change refers to your question. And I have to look at it from all the perspectives. As an individual, how people are thinking. As a group, a community, how are people thinking about now and about the future. So thinking about your question, what I do know, I cannot predict what will happen in 24, but I do know what is going to happen soon. It may be 24, it may be later. I see signs. Today's politics is based on hatred and anger. Today's politics is based on a narrow vision of conforming to Hindutva ideology. They've even reduced Hinduism to BJP-sponsored Hinduism. So they've like put a copyright on that. But human nature, as I have studied it, cannot stay angry or in hate for a very long time. If you stay in hate or angry for a long time, it starts burning your heart. It starts burning your soul. That's why the only people who we remember, who we respect, are the people who have saintly character. They may be in politics, they might be in religion, they might be in social work, but people who allow us to reflect and heal. Healing is a very important part of evolution. Everything we do, speak, argue, debate, fight wars, everything burns us. Everything burns our energy. But we need times of healing. Right now, the Hindutva ideology that has captured people's minds, even people who have bought into that idea don't realize that they are burning inside. They are consumed with hate. They are consumed with anger. And a tipping point has come where this anger and hatred is not giving us time to heal. And an answer to your question is, I don't know what will happen in election, but I know people are ready to heal. People want more compassion than hatred. People want more silence than Bajrangbali ki jai. You saw it in Karnataka. He shouted at the top of his voice, Bajrangbali ki jai. But they still did not vote for him. Right? That is because now people want quiet, silence, people want sincerity. Now how you translate that into vote and when depends upon how you organize as a party, a group of parties and a message, and how you capture people's imagination. So my answer to your question is, can BJP be defeated in 2004? Yes, if you can give people hope and healing. But if only you fight hate with hate, probably he'll win before, because he's better at hating than you are. So that's my answer. But that takes me to another side that I want to tell you. Today, my work is studying imagination. Gandhiji succeeded not because he fought against the British, but he had a simple way of giving a message of freedom to the lowest of the person in the society in a way that they understand. People were obsessed with imagination of a free India, free of inequality, free of injustice, free of slavery. 2 days ago, I was doing an interview with Dr. Gigi Parekh, who is probably today the largest surviving socialist and a freedom fighter. We are celebrating his 100th year on December 29th and 30th. I asked him, you have lived in slavery under British. You have lived with freedom fighter, as a freedom fighter, and you lived in a free India. What did freedom mean to you before the freedom fight started? What did freedom mean to you when you were fighting for freedom? And have you achieved freedom? What does freedom mean to you now? And the answer came from somebody who we all respect. Probably most of you were not even born when Dr. Gigi Parekh was born. He said, I was 7 years old when I was inspired by freedom movement. He said, I will be honest, I did not understand it intellectually. I had not read any of the literature of Marx or Trotsky or Hegel or anything that I read later on. He said there was atmosphere that was inspiring people to imagine what freedom could be. And everybody had their own image of freedom. A Dalit had his own image of freedom. Gigi Parekh had his own image of freedom. And somebody else had a different image of freedom. So that atmosphere and accidents made him take this path of social justice and independent struggle. He also told me that accidentally he got arrested. He was probably older, not 7 years old, I think 17 years old. And he went to jail and everybody was much older to him. So everybody treated him like a child. And I remember whenever I used to go to Socialist Party conferences, I got treated like a child. There was Surendra Mohan, Prem Singh, Harbhajan Singh, all of these people who treat me like a child. In fact, I learned 2 lines of Kannada not from a Kannadiga, but from Surendra Mohan. He taught me, Ninda hesaru enu, and eಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ. And this is when I was 7 years old. Anyway, so when this atmosphere in this jail, Dr. Gigi Parikh said, got me closer to people. We started talking about our ideas, our imagination. I started reading books, and at that time he said, he also started reading Marx and Trotsky. He came out, started reading more, but then he came in contact with Gandhiji. He was present when the Quit India call was given at Gavalia Tank, which is now called August Kranti Maidan. He sat there and he was inspired. He started saying India of his own imagination. He got active and he never stopped. He said even today India is not free. We gained independence, but we have social systems that we need to be free of. We get trapped in history, we get trapped in religion, we get trapped in traditions. He said, my concept of freedom will never be achieved in my lifetime, but my imagination gives me the fuel, the energy, the enthusiasm to work for that imagination. So what is important is to create the right imagination. I want to build on your question. Today is a very depressing situation. We see more and more our friends, family, buying into the idea of Hindu Rajya, Hindu nationalism. It's very easy to brand somebody urban nationalite. It's very easy to say something where somebody gets provoked and goes and kills Narendra Dabholkar or Gauri Lankesh. The atmosphere is vitiated. In this situation, what is the alternative? The alternative is not to fight the people who are creating this atmosphere, but to create an alternative imagination that people can feel more comfortable in, where hatred is replaced by compassion, where anger is replaced by curiosity and hope. We can't fight them, but we can change the way people think and imagine the future. Everybody I grew up with, the socialists, the nationalists of that time, be it Yusuf Meherali, be it Narendra Dev, Jayaprakash Narayan, Nath Pai, or Kamaladevi Chattopadhyay, all of the people who are sitting here, there's something very common in them. They all wrote. They were writers. They wrote in jails. When they were free, they wrote. Some of them were even poets. They were able to write their thoughts in a way that people felt inspired. Right now, nobody inspires you. They only provoke you. We need to inspire people. That's what. It may be a long fight. We don't have to live under the illusion that we formed an India alliance and now everything is going to change in 2024. Remember 1952? Socialists were on a high ground and everybody got defeated. And that time I think some people got dejected. I don't know if you know, Dr. Ambedkar was ready to join Socialist Party at that time.
Later.
Yeah, but he was ready to that. But the whole psychosis that happened, even people who were talking to him, got in the way of he joining the Socialist Party. Ashok Mehta, after that defeat, wrote a thesis justifying why joining Congress was the most important. What was the call of the times? And he joined Congress, became Planning Commission Chairman, Vice Chairman.
Compulsions of backward economy.
Yes, compulsions of backward economy. So I think that we don't have to get caught up in history. I think we need to imagine a new future. So I did a project. when my father's 100th birth centenary year was approaching, and Arun Kumar, who I really thank, he used to come to our house so frequently when I was young, he was young, or he was a socialist youth, he is now socialist bujurg. And I can feel what he feels. Somebody asked me, why is Arun Kumar spending so much money, so much of his energy, so much of time for Madhu Dandavate? I said, you don't understand. I have seen what is inside his heart. He was not connected to Madhu Dandavate and Pramila Dandavate at an intellectual level. Yes, he was their fellow traveler, but at a deep emotional level, he had a connection. I consider him a brother. I've seen him for a very long time, and I thank you for doing what you are doing. So, coming back to my project, I was thinking about what to do. My wife, who's sitting here, Rohini, she and I did a lot of brainstorming, and we said, yes, Madhu Dandavate was my father. Yes, he was a leader. Yes, he has a lot of achievements. But let his colleagues talk about it. What I take pride in is that time. I was not born during independence struggle, but I was born amidst all these legendary people. I've seen most of them, not all of them. During emergency, I was a student in Ahmedabad, and George Fernandez would come to my little room where 4 of us used to sleep on the kitchen floor. He would come as a fakir and he'll just come and give a pat on my back. Pandala Surana used to come, Gigi Parikh used to come, Mrunal Gore used to come in jeans and t-shirt and come and see me. See, all of these people gave a different kind of connection, and that's what I see in this audience. I've heard stories of this togetherness that the socialist family had. So I said, I need to celebrate all of these people. I need to celebrate the spirit that I inculcated as a child, growing up in the family of socialists. I don't say family of Dandavates. I grew up in the family of socialists. Later, Janta Parivar. So what is the best way to do it? I was trained in design first before I studied psychology and anthropology. So I have to always think creatively about possibilities. So we decided we are going to go and meet people who share our values, our curiosities, our dreams. And they are all doing something at grassroots level all over India. Do a dialogue with them and see how their imagination has evolved in the post-independence era. If Modi says freedom started only 10 years ago, that's such a fake thing. They are rewriting history books. Tomorrow, children may not even have history to read, only one history to read, or maybe a contrived history to read, like that book he has written about Modi that for children. Have you seen that book? Something, Beta Narendra or something like that. So they are rewriting, erasing people's memory. What I want to do is, I'm going to interview these people, put it on YouTube, and create an archive of inspired individuals talking about what is their dream, what is their imagination of India, and how they have worked for 20, 30, 40 years. So my project started with Rajmohan Gandhi. Then I interviewed Sam Pitroda. Then I stumbled into Mallika Sarabhai from Ahmedabad, the dancer. Then I thought I'll make 5 interviews. And as of yesterday, I've done 52 interviews, all videotaped. The last one was with Dr. Gigi Parikh. If you go to the YouTube, you can search for the legacy of India's imagination. And you'll find all the 52. Saeed Mirza, who was a filmmaker, he made the TV serial Nukkad. He spoke to me. There's another woman called, I forgot her name, Ghazala. She wrote a book called What It Means to Be a Muslim in India. There's another woman called Revati Lal. She spent 10 years talking to people who killed and raped and burned people during Gujarat riots. And she wrote a book called Anatomy of Hate. So through all of these stories that I'm archiving, and I already have in my list almost 100 people. So over the next several months, I'm going to complete these 100 stories that I hope will live for 100 years, but none of us sitting here will be there. It will not matter whether Modi is there because he won't be there. Amit Shah won't be there. But our ideas, can they inspire the future? Your son or daughter, and her son or daughter will see a history that is being erased right now. So the real job is to tell stories of people who are even today doing amazing work, doing action, doing sangharsh, doing dialogue, doing dissent, and all of that is a part of the diversity of India's thinking and India's imagination. We need to preserve that. We need to preserve the feeling of caring with each other and sharing with each other. I've read all big ideologues. I've read Marx, I've read Gandhi, all of them. There's one person who inspires me the most, Sani Guruji from Maharashtra. He wrote storybooks for children. He talked about compassion as the foundational emotion of human being that connects us to each other. Those who talk about religion have forgotten compassion and they are promoting hatred. I think we need to create a new imagination where compassion, caring and sharing becomes the foundation for the new future. Thank you.
I've got a question. Today being a National Law Day, 1 minute. This is what women will not be given opportunity to express. Only 1 minute I ask.
Yes.
Today is a National Law Day. As a woman, I have got a doubt because 26, 2, 6, 8, it always takes me a fight. 11 is parallel lines. We may not get any justice, equality and other things. This is my view. What's your view?
Well, I can tell you, my mother, I've learnt a lot from my mother. I would say my father would not have been on this board here if my mother was not with them. And I think a lot of times, all the big leaders, their women are forgotten. Their women are not given the right credit that they deserve, even if they are not active in politics. Gandhi is nothing without Kasturba, right? So, to your point, I think what we need to do is activate women, because women power is the most powerful, and that's what I learned from my mother. Even today, the credit they take for women's reservation bill, she and women from all the parties work together for that. Of course, it got into some hurdles. Some people in our own party brought hurdles in it. Geeta Mukherjee presented a bill in the parliament, and that was withdrawn. And now it took so many years for Modi to champion the cause of women, but put it so much out in the future that everybody thinks, oh, women's reservation is here, it's not happening for next 10, 12 years. Maybe never ever. You need some woman in that place who will actually galvanize women power and do things for women. I think women are able to think better for men than men are able to think for women.
Documenting and writing some important issues. Yeah. Apart from that, earlier Socialist Studies Center conducted many programs, study circles. In Karnataka, Professor, I was a good opportunity to spend with Madhu Dandavate. I heard about his views. Earlier he was conductor. And Professor Hanmantu also, he went to Shimoga and conducted some programs. Why don't you conduct some interaction programs with the youth, particularly about the social studies?
Well, I will tell you something. Good question. Because I'm a researcher and I study people, culture and change, I also understand how the young people communicate with each other, where they learn. Very young people don't even read books anymore. They get on Instagram, they get on Facebook, they get on WhatsApp, they are all online. So I am sharing a lot on digital media. I have a lot of audience with younger people. I'll give you an example. How many people below the age of 30 are there in this audience? I don't see a single hand up. But on my social media, between all channels, I have 5,000. That is not enough. Some people who talk about fashion and whatever, they probably have a million people. But I think 5,000 people is better than not a single 30-year-old or less in this audience. Correct? So I think, yes, I'm doing what you're doing. Also, I don't have to educate people. I just have to provoke people so that they can start thinking, they can start imagining for a better future for India that is more based on justice, equality, and compassion. That's my answer. Thank you very much. Namaste.